If you were to ask Vince McMahon right now who the face of the company is, he would tell you Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns. If you're asking who has been the face of the company over the years, he would tell you guys like Hulk Hogan, John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. List goes on and on and on. But how would you really rate who is really the face of the company? Because I like to think that your champions, the guys that you deem the best in your company, would negate who you would feel were the faces of the company. I mean, they are representing your company out in the world, so I would think your champions would be your face of the company. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rank them the top 10 faces of the WWE based on achievements. So I guess that's probably the best way to put it. So anyway, let's go. Now, before you start freaking out, Hogan number 10, there's no way Hogan's number 10. You're right, Hogan is technically not number 10. He's actually the most accomplished wrestler in the history of WWE. In fact, he has held a title for about 2,185 days. 2,185. Of his 4,776 contracted days with the WWE, he held a title belt for nearly half that time. Now, given he only really held the world title 6 times, but he was a tag team champion 1 time. And he did win 2 Royal Rumbles. But in the grand scheme of things, he did do this through 4 stints with the company. You know, so, and you also got to look at this. McMahon forgave him for some serious shit. So he's had multiple runs at the top. But, you know, at least he has that Gawker money to fall back on nowadays, right? John Cena has been the poster boy for the WWE for over 15 years, and that has shown in what he's been able to accomplish. He has held a belt for about 1,882 days. Not very far off from Hogan, but John Cena has definitely been trusted with the hardware a lot more than Hogan was. He was only ever really in charge of holding that world title, which has been the focal point of anyone you ask in the WWE. But Cena has held some form of either the World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE Championship, or the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, whatever you want to fucking call it. It doesn't really matter. He's held a version of that 16 times with the company. He's been a tag champion 4 times. He's been a U.S. champion 5 times. And he's won 2 Royal Rumbles, and he's also been a Money in the Bank holder. Totally 26 titles that he has held his entire career that he's been with the WWE, which has been his entire wrestling career. And you know what? It's insane. He is 10-3 at WrestleMania. That's a record that can only be attributed to very few people. And you know, if you're the face of the company, you know you're gonna have these kinds of accolades on top of being a force and Make-A-Wish, Susan G. Coleman, and be a star. I mean, what other ways can you be the face of the company? I mean, he's also Fred's dad, so don't forget that. Triple H has been in the company a lot longer than John Cena. In fact, he's been in since May '95, so he's been around for a minute, but he hasn't really been anywhere else. He did start in WCW, but nonetheless, he has been with the company for a very long time. In fact, his title reigns have culminated to an even 1,500. Now, if you add the European Championship, which I really didn't add into any of the equations because only 2 people actually held the Euro title based on everybody that's in this top 10, he has been a title holder for 1,660 days, but that really didn't move him out of the spot that he's in now because it didn't pass him on Cena and it didn't get him ahead and it doesn't drop him really below, the next guy. But that's not the point. He has amassed a total of 24 titles over his career, 14 WWE or World Heavyweight Championship titles, 5 IC titles, 2 Euro, 3 Tag Team, 2 Royal Rumble wins, and he's even won the King of the Ring. He is, in fact, he's been with the company nearly his entire career. Married into the family, lucky bastard. And, he's had a reputation over the years of being one of the most influential guys in NXT. And he's also, he's been the forefront of new talent nowadays. And they say he buries everybody. That's just silly. He doesn't bury talent. He may do something to a dead corpse, though. Awesome! Miz is what you would call a company man. He has been with the company for a little over a decade now. And he may not have as many accolades as some of the guys farther up on the list from him, but he has nonetheless been one of the most consistent guys in the company. In fact, he has some of the longest reigns at different points at different times. He is, in fact, only a one-time WWE champion, although he is a 7-time IC champion, he is a 6-time tag champion, and he's been a U.S. title holder twice, including winning the Money in the Bank. So just those in and of itself means that he has some credibility with the guys up front. And for a reality star to become one of the major faces of the WWE, that is saying something. With his most successful stint obviously coming in between 2007 2009 while being a tag champ for all but 5 months in that time frame, there's not much else you can say. On top of the fact, he's actually one of the only people to beat John Cena, who is number 9 on this list, or number 2, however the fuck you want to go with it. He's really one of the few people to beat John Cena at WrestleMania in a singles match. The only other person being The Rock. Bret Hart has been with the company, well, that's a nice little pickle to unwrap, but we all know what happened with that. But he was with the company for a good 13 years prior to the incident. We're not going to call it what it is because that noise. Anyway, regardless of those situations, in his two stints, because he did come back in late 2009 and was contracted for a year, and he actually won a title in that time frame. Right? I know. But he has held a title for about 1,434 days, spanning between the U.S. title, which he held once in that, 2009 to 2010 stint. I know. He is a 2-time IC champion, a 2-time tag champion, a 5-time world champion, and a King of the Ring winner 2 times over. And he also won the Royal Rumble. He only had 10 titles to his name, but he was one of the major forces to transition from the big men of the 80s into the more charismatic guys and more ring technicians of the early to mid 90s. And that's the thing. He has so many legendary rivalries with Austin, Michaels, Owens that people will see for the test of time. It's unfortunate that some of the newer fans only know him because of the Montreal Screwjob. Kofi is actually one of the longest tenured members of the current roster. He's actually been here since 2008, making his 10-year anniversary coming up very soon, in fact. His total title reigns have added up to 1,393 days. Those championships actually span not just from his tag titles, in fact. In fact, he's actually had 4 IC championships to his name, 3 U.S. titles, and of course the 7 tag titles, adding up to 14 title belts. Now, that's the interesting thing about it. Although he has the record right now with the New Day for the longest tag title reign, he does have some significant, accolades on it in and of his own, having some fantastic feuds with Randy Orton for the WWE Championship, Dolph Ziggler, the Usos, and the Shield while with the New Day. He has been able to gain a second win being in the New Day. And like I said, he did gain that fucking long title reign, so he actually has gained some notoriety, and that's why he's number 5 on this list.
You think you know me?
Edge is one of the few guys on this list that holds a ridiculous number of title belts under his name. In fact, he holds the most for an individual at 31 individual title reigns. 7 World Heavyweight, 4 WWE, 5 Intercontinental, 1 King of the Ring, 1 Royal Rumble, a Money in the Bank, and 14 tag team title belts. That's right, 14 individually was what he held, which is crazy insane to think about that. He was, in fact, in some insane, and he was in some main event feuds with Cena, Orton, Triple H, The Undertaker. His career is not in question, and his career will never be in question. In fact, he has the most title reigns as an individual with 5 separate partners for the tag team titles. So he's one of the most accomplished guys in literally in only about 15 years. With that being said, he didn't have numbers and days, but that's okay. Sometimes the number of title belts is always going to supersede how long you were the champ. In some cases. Randy Orton comes in just 10 shy of number 4 with Edge, in fact. One of his tag team partners, in fact. And one of his rivals, so haha, there you go. Orton comes in at 1,106 days, holding some version of a title on his waist, including 4 World Heavyweight Championships, 2 Tag Titles, 9 WWE Championships, 1 IC title, 2 Royal Rumble wins, and a Money in the Bank, adding up to 17 titles. He's actually the youngest World Heavyweight Championship winner, who also happened to be a third-generation superstar. Who'da thunk it? He's also the longest tenured member of the current roster right now, outside of Big Show and Kane, but he is the longest tenured active member on the roster right now. So hopefully he should be able to pass Edge, before he retires. But I mean, it means he's got to hold a belt for more than 10 days. Whether he gets another belt, I don't know. We'll just have to find out. And in fact, it's very possible he has been a member of notable factions such as Evolution, Legacy, the Wyatt Family, the Authority. Hell, maybe his best shot is to go and create a new faction, Randy. That's how you get your belt. Every time you were in a different faction, you were a world champion. Even when you were theoretically part of the Wyatt, you were a world champion. Maybe you need to create a new faction, Randy. You need to get those 10 days before Edge can just sit here and say, I beat you, and you've been retired, and he's been retired for 7 years. Now, you may be sitting here thinking, Shawn Michaels? Shawn Michaels is one of the most influential people in the entire WWE. Why is he number 2 on this list? Or in other people's eyes, number 9 on this list? Well, he's only held a belt for 1,087 days. What can you do? In fact, his second run, most of his title reigns came in his first run. Something that a lot of people seem to not think about. Now, if you add the Euro title, which is the only other person to hold the Euro title in this top 10, he does actually come out at 1169. So this would actually bump him up to 4. But we're not counting it, so there you go. But he does have 3 WWE Championships to his name, a World Heavyweight Champion, 3 Intercontinentals, a Euro, 6 Tag Teams, and he won the Royal Rumble twice. So that counts for about 14. He is Mr. WrestleMania after all, and he did help with Hart at the time really bring in a new era of smaller wrestlers being able to compete instead of just having big bulky guys like Hogan and Warrior and Beefcake and guys like that. They really were the catalyst that brought the guard down. It helped usher in the Attitude Era with DX. Now, like I said, most of his reigns did, occur between 92 and 98, but you have to sit here and admit that he is still one of the most influential guys and probably one of the biggest faces in the company, and the belt numbers do at least back it up just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm an ass man. Yeah!
Now, I know you're like, Billy Gunn? Billy Gunn? You're telling me Billy Gunn was a bigger face of the company than The Rock, Brock Lesnar, Jericho, RVD, Sheamus, Batista, Big E. I don't know why I brought it. Big E's actually got a lot of time on there as well. There's some other big names in here. Flair, Kevin Nash, Austin, Kane, Big Show, Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Randy Savage, Undertaker, Honky Tonk, Mr. Perfect, Owen Hart, Benoit. Yeah, he was coming up. Deal with it. And guys like that. You're telling me Billy Gunn is more accomplished than all those guys? Sorry, numbers don't lie. He's more accomplished than all of them. In fact, he's held a belt for 971 days. Most of that came with the tag title belts, because he does have a record 11 tag titles under his name. Most of those only coming with, and all those coming with just 3 partners. He does have an IC title belt under his reign, and he did win the Hardcore Championship twice, but the Hardcore Championship's in the same realm as the Euro title, and besides, me adding his reigns of the Hardcore Championship only bumps him up to 984. He doesn't get it with 1,000 with the Hardcore Championship. But within 11 years, he did manage to be one of the main faces of the company. Yes, he was with Road Dogg Jesse James, or with Chuck, a Billy and Chuck, or when he was in the Smoking Guns. But Billy Gunn is one of those faces, and he was trusted with that tag team belt for more than one occasion for long stints of time. So you can't tell me that Vince did not see him as a face of the company if he wasn't going to put the belt on him. And that's the entire concept of this video. If he didn't trust you to be a face of his company, you wouldn't have a belt on you. And that's it. That's my top 10. If you agree with it, hit the thumbs up down below. If you disagree with my top 10, if you rather me flip the shit around because Hogan's number 1, then hit the dislike, because that's what people do. Make sure to leave me a comment. Who do you think should have actually been on this list? But all mine are based upon numbers. But, you know, like I said, who do you think should have more reigns under their belt? Who do you think should actually be considered a bigger face and be given more title opportunities? However the fuck you want to put it. Leave your comments down below. And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell for notifications so you know when I upload, because I don't do it every day because I have a life. Sorry. And I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure to tune in to some other fun stuff, and I'll catch you later.